some sicknesses are caused by a sick soul, by a hurting and wounded soul. What do I mean? It is when we go through trauma, or especially trauma and abuse, rape, being taken advantage sexually, physically, verbally or physically or sexually abused, especially in the earlier days of our lives, like childhood, our teen years, or any sorts of trauma, where we begin to foster unforgiveness and bitterness. It could be against, we can hold God accountable for what happened to us. God, why didn't you stop that? Why didn't you help me? Why didn't you heal my mom? She died. God, why did you allow this accident to happen? God, why did you allow for me to lose my child? And so forth, so on. And we hold on to unforgiveness toward God. Now, I don't like to use word forgiving God, because for the word forgiving God, the phrase forgiving God indicates that God is guilty, but God is not guilty. We allowed sin into our lives. We allowed sin into our world, even if it's not by our own action, but by the actions of other people or our ancestors. And we are reaping the consequences of sin, which is destruction, which is stealing, and which is death. And because God honors free will, He honors your free will, and He honors the free will of an evil person as much of a good person. And that's why evil things happen in our life. But one other big reason why I find that people are sick is because they are sick in their soul. And that sickness of the soul manifests in the sickness of their body. They hold on to unforgiveness. They develop a bitter root, a root of bitterness. And even scientists now make connection and links. I was looking for this particular study right before. I thought I had it in my notes right before the stream, but I couldn't find it where it was in my notes, and I couldn't find it online. But there was one famous study that was done by a renowned hospital that linked various issues with various emotional issues to the health of our body. Like certain types of issues, if you experience, now don't quote me, I don't know exactly, but like depression and loneliness affects your gut, your stomach. This affects your skin. This emotional problem affects your eyesight and your heart. And so they've connected to a lot of the emotional issues and traumas, emotional sicknesses to that it manifests in the physical body. They connected the emotional issues to the physical sickness issues in the body. And so, number one, we have to take care of our body. We can't abuse our body, follow good hygiene and not overeat. That's our responsibility. Second of all, we have to take care of our soul and to make sure that we are clean and pure in our soul, that our soul is whole and our soul is healed, so that it will not suppress our immune system. It would not suppress our body's mechanism that works to keep our body healthy and restored. As when I was in Romania, I was ministering to this. There was multiple testimonies. I'll just share one. I was ministering to one particular lady when she went through very traumatizing childhood, a lot of abuse. Family fell apart, dad left, was homeless for a little while, then got sexually taken advantage and abused, and had she just had so many issues in her life, in her emotional state. And she was just struggling to stay emotionally balanced and stay emotionally healthy. And as I began to work with her and lead her to the process of inner healing and allowing God to heal her heart, then I received testimonies a few days later through Instagram on DM that after receiving healing of her heart, she started feeling better in her body, and that the certain things that she was struggling, certain sicknesses that she was struggling in her body, they disappeared and was gone literally just in a few days after receiving healing to her emotions. So when we have emotional distraught, emotional issues, traumas that we don't deal, and we just suppress them, we just throw them away, we forget about them, we move on, we don't bring them to Jesus, we don't deal with them, we don't go get counseling and try to release them, we don't talk to somebody, we don't confess those things to anybody, then as a result we could suffer physical consequences like sicknesses and disease and weakness in our body. Are you with me so far? If you are, drop 1 in the chat. So, in order to the issue of unforgiveness and bitterness, with that oftentimes is fostered or hidden in the soul, in the trauma, in the wound, because of the traumatic events and abuse that a person experienced. If those things are not dealt quickly, I'm talking about unforgiveness and bitterness, are not surrendered to the Lord, and if that wound doesn't close up and gets healed, what begins to happen is that shortly after that, when it's not dealt with properly, demons begin to come and torment a person, and they use unforgiveness and bitterness, which Bible calls it sin, as the legal door to enter the person's life. And this is where now we're coming to the main part. This is where demonic spirit comes into somebody's body or soul and torments them. And one of the things they can do is torment the body with sickness and weakness.